Okay guys, if you are not lucky enough, then in part 2 you get multiple choice. And if you are lucky, then you get sentence completion with one word only along with map. So let's go on with this thing. Information on company volunteering projects. Now look, company volunteering projects, we call it CRS or CSR, corporate social responsibility. Like, you know, different multinational companies, they send their staff for social welfare. So information on company volunteering project. Now we have multiple choice. Remember, they will talk about all three options. They will talk about two options in a way that they are wrong. So if you only catch that way, or if you get to know whether these options are right and these options are wrong, then you will be 100% successful in multiple choice. Always remember one thing, whenever you pick a wrong answer, you are actually trapped, because they present a trap answer and you think that's the right answer. So just in order to get the right answer, you should be able to catch the wrong answer. If you focus the right answer, you will always catch the wrong answer. But if you focus which answer is wrong, I have to cross it, and sometimes they focus more on the wrong answer. So if you identify and locate the wrong answer, you will reach the right answer. Let's see how. The first thing is, when you read multiple choice question, the main statement is important. How much time for volunteering does the company allow per employee? So the question is, how much time per employee? Is that clear? A, 2 hours per week. B, 1 day per month. C, 8 hours per week. Now you got to see how much time do they actually allow their workers or employees to work for. Is it 2 hours per week, 1 day per month, 8 hours per year? Another thing is, they will talk about all three options but not in order. Do not expect that they will start with option A, then they will go on to option B, then they will go on to option C. Itne अच्छे नहीं हैं ये लोग, right? They may start with option C, then go back to option A, then come to option B. So the first thing is, you must locate the option which is being discussed in the audio. And then you have to see, as the question is, how much time for volunteering does the company allow per employee? So what they allowed in the past, that is a trap, right? What the company does not allow, that is also a trap. Okay, so you just need to see how much time do they allow. Now I play the audio, focus, and then we'll discuss it.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Okay, so this meeting is for new staff and staff who haven't been involved with our volunteering projects yet. So basically, the idea is that we allow staff to give up some of their work time to help on various charity projects to benefit the local community. We've been doing this for the last 5 years, and it's been very successful. Participating doesn't necessarily involve a huge time commitment. The company will pay for 8 hours of your time. That can be used over 1 or 2 days all at once, or spread over several months throughout the year. There are some staff who enjoy volunteering so much, they also give up their own free time for a couple of hours every week. It's completely up to you. Obviously, many people will have family commitments and aren't as available as other members of staff.
So, 2 hours per week. A, कुछ तो बोलें. At least tell me the wrong answer. हाँ, सांप सूंघ गया. I'll play that, but you need to tell me according to your understanding what is the answer. Okay, 2 hours per week. For that he said some people like it and then they do it on their own. That's actually not the answer. The question is, how much time for volunteering does the company allow per employee? The right answer is 8 hours per year. And then he said whether you spend half hour a day, you can spread it over months and then over year. Now I play the audio again and you should find it.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Okay, so this meeting is for new staff and staff who haven't been involved with our volunteering projects yet. So basically, the idea is that we allow staff to give up some of their work time to help on various charity projects to benefit the local community. We've been doing this for the last 5 years, and it's been very successful. Participating doesn't necessarily involve a huge time commitment. The company will pay for 8 hours of your time.
Clear? The company will pay for 8 hours of your time. Now listen on.
That can be used over 1 or 2 days all at once, or spread over several months throughout the year.
Okay, 1 or 2 days, month, or several months throughout the year. Now, the answer is actually C, but now they are going to trap you. Now listen.
There are some staff who enjoy volunteering so much, they also give up their own free time for a couple of hours every week.
Some staff, they enjoy it so much, so they give up their own free time. Company doesn't pay them for that. Their own free time for a couple of hours per week. So A is a trap and B is not discussed, 1 day per month. That is also a trap when he talked about 8 hours per week, per year. It's actually that. Okay, let's move on please. Hum move banna shuru honge. Question number 12. In feedback, almost all employees said that volunteering improved their. Now what is it that volunteering improved? कौन सी चीज उनकी improve की volunteering ने? Staff members said A. Chances of promotion. B. Job satisfaction. C. Relationships with colleagues. They will talk about all three options and they will use synonym. For example, chance of promotion. For that they can use the word promote to the next position. For job satisfaction, happy with the job, or any other word, satisfied with their work, like that. And for relationship with colleagues, they can use any other word. Now please listen.
Feedback from staff has been overwhelmingly positive. Because they felt they were doing something really useful, nearly everyone agreed that volunteering made them feel more motivated at work. They also liked building relationships with the people in the local community and felt valued by them. 1 or 2 people also said it was a good thing to have on their CVs.
1 or 2 people said it was a good thing to have on their CV. So chances of promotion, 1 or 2 people. Okay, C, relationship with colleagues, but that was not almost all employees who said, right? So job satisfaction, feel more motivated towards their job. Option B is the right answer. I play the audio again.
Feedback from staff has been overwhelmingly positive. Because they felt they were doing something really useful, nearly everyone agreed that volunteering made them feel more motivated at work.
Volunteering made them feel more motivated at work, so that is job satisfaction. Now they talk about other options.
They also liked building relationships with the people in the local community. And
so that's not related to, they also like building relationship with the community and all that.
Felt valued by them.
And that is with the community, not with colleagues. Okay, yeah.
1 or 2 people also said it was a good thing to have on their CVs.
1 or 2 people said it was a good thing to have on their CVs. So actually it's option B, which is the right answer. Now question number 13. Last year, some staff helped unemployed people with their, right? Last year, some staff helped unemployed people with their literacy skills, like reading, learning to read, learning to write and all that. B, job applications, how to write CV, how to write job applications. And C, communication skills. For that they can use communication skills, presentation skills, telephone skills, communicating on telephone, or interview skills. Anything comes into this communication one. Now let's see.
One particularly successful project last year was the Get Working project. This was aimed at helping unemployed people in the area get back to work. Our staff were able to help them improve their telephone skills, such as writing down messages and speaking with confidence to potential customers, which they had found quite difficult. This is something many employers look for in job applicants, and something we all do without even thinking about every day at work.
Exactly. Communication skills, they talked about it, speaking, how to speak and all that. Good job. Question number 14. This year, the company will start a new volunteering project with a local school, park or charity. Now you got to see what.
We've got an exciting new project starting this year. Up until now, we've mainly focused on projects to do with education and training. And we'll continue with our reading project in schools and our work with local charities. But we've also agreed to help out on a conservation project in Redfern Park. So if any of you fancy being outside and getting your hands dirty, this is the project for you.
They talked about school, they said we already did a project with that, then charity, they already mentioned that, but this year they're going to do it with a park. I play it again so that you make sure how other two answers are wrong, and they spoke about school and charity very clearly, right? Let's see.
We've got an exciting new project starting this year. Up until now, we've mainly focused on projects to do with education and training.
So up until now, we focused projects on education and training. That may bring your attention to school up till now and all that. Then,
and we'll continue with our reading project in schools and our work with local charities.
We'll continue with our reading project at schools and work with local charity. They will continue. That's not something new, right?
Also agreed to help out on a conservation project in Redfern Park.
Right, conservation project on this Redfern Park.
So if any of you fancy being outside and getting your hands dirty, this is the project for you.
Okay, question number 15. Where will the Digital Inclusion Day be held? DID, Digital Inclusion Day. All three words are capital. The first letter is capital. So where will the Digital Inclusion Day be held? A, company's training facility. B, college. C, community center. Notice I did not read in You don't need to. Just focus the main points. A, company's training facility. B, college. C, community center. Now there can be the traps, but you got to see what's the right answer.
I also wanted to mention the annual Digital Inclusion Day, which is coming up next month. The aim of this is to help older people keep up with technology. And this year, instead of hosting the event in our own training facility, we're using the ICT suite at Hill College, as it can hold far more people.
It is B. Instead of holding in our company's training facility, and they did not mention anything about community center. So the answer is B. That's right. Question number 16. What should staff do if they want to take part in the Digital Inclusion Day? Right? If they want to participate, what is it that they have to do? A, fill in a form. B, attend a training workshop. C, get permission from their manager. So what is it that they need to do in order to participate in Digital Inclusion Day?
We've invited over 60 people from the Silver Age Community Center to take part, so we'll need a lot of volunteers to help with this event. If you're interested in taking part, please go to the volunteering section of our website and complete the relevant form. We won't be providing any training for this, but you'll be paired with an experienced volunteer if you've never done it before. By the way, don't forget to tell your manager about any volunteering activities you decide to do.
Not C? Good. C, he said, don't forget to tell. Now, tell does not mean to get permission. So, C is a trap. And attend a training workshop, he said, we won't be providing training workshop or training for this. So, it's A, fill in a form. Clear? Yes. Okay. Let's go on. Double the Trouble. That was a movie, huh? Questions 17 and 18, it's also multiple choice where out of 5 you have to choose 2 options. Don't worry, I'll tell you how. What 2 things are mentioned about the participants? So 2 things about participants on the last digital inclusion day. Last means past, right? Last digital inclusion day, 2 things mentioned about the participants. A, were all over 70, over 70. Now if they use the word under 70, just cross it, right? And if they say over or above 70 or 70 and above, then this may be the answer. B, never use their computer. Now about participants, they would say they never use their computer. If they say some of them had used computer already, that means never is wrong. You can cross this as well. C, phones were mostly old-fashioned. Now if they say most of them had a non-Android phone or old-fashioned phone or old models of the phone and all that. D, only use their phones for making calls. So if they say they never texted or they never used internet on their phone or they used it only for making calls and all that. E, initially showed little interest. Like participants initially, or for that they can use in the beginning, they did not take interest or anything like that. So they will talk about all options. 3 options are wrong, 2 options are right, and I play the audio for all 5 and then you will tell me 2 options.
The participants on the Digital Inclusion Day really benefited. The majority were in their 70s, though some were younger, and a few were even in their 90s. Quite a few owned both a computer and a mobile phone, but these tended to be outdated models. They generally knew how to do simple things like send texts, but weren't aware of recent developments in mobile phone technology. A few were keen to learn, but most were quite dismissive at first. They couldn't see the point of updating their skills. But that soon changed.
So, D and E, 1 is correct. Anyone? C and okay, 1 is correct. C and E. C for cat. Phones were mostly old-fashioned. They were not updated. And E for elephant initially showed little interest. Now I play it again and you can focus why option C for cat or Canada and E for England are the right options.
The participants on the Digital Inclusion Day really benefited. The majority were in their 70s, though some were younger, and
though some were younger. So when he said majority were in their 70s, though some were younger, A should be crossed. A should be eliminated because A is were all over 70. He said some were younger and then he says 90 as well.
Few were even in their 90s. Quite a few owned both a computer and a mobile phone, but these tended to be outdated model.
Okay, computer or mobile phone, but these tended to be outdated. So their phones were mostly old-fashioned, right? They never used their computer. They didn't say that. They said they had their computers or mobile phones, but they were outdated. So one of them is here. Their phones were mostly old-fashioned. At this point, we select C. Let's go on now.
They generally knew how to do simple things like send texts, but weren't aware of recent developments in mobile phone technology.
Okay, they only know few things like send text, but D is they only use their phones for making calls. But they use the word send texts. So D is not the answer. And then they talk about their response.
A few were keen to learn, but most were quite dismissive at first.
Most were quite dismissive at first. Few were keen to learn. So that is option E. They initially showed little interest. So questions 19 and 20. Choose 2 letters A to E. What 2 activities on the last digital inclusion day did participants describe as useful? Last digital inclusion day and 2 activities were useful. Other were not useful, right? So let's see. A. learning to use tablets. And this tablet is not the one that you take when you have a headache, the other tablet, the one I have now. B, communicating with family. C, shopping online. D, playing online games. E, sending emails. So last Digital Inclusion Day, participants describe two things, two activities as useful. Let's see. They will talk about them positively.
The feedback was very positive. The really encouraging thing was that participants all said they felt much more confident about using social media to keep in touch with their grandchildren, who prefer this form of communication to phoning or sending emails. A lot of them also said playing online games would help them make new friends and keep their brains active. They weren't that impressed with being able to order their groceries online, as they liked going out to the shops, but some said it would come in handy if they were ill or the weather was really bad. One thing they asked about was using tablets for things like reading newspapers. Some people had been given tablets as presents, but had never used them. So that's something we'll make sure we include this time.
B and D. B for boy, D for Denmark, right? Well done. Communicating with family. For family, they use the word grandchildren, social media, and all that. And then shopping online, they weren't like they wanted to go on their own for shopping. And playing online games, they talked about it very clearly. And option A, learning to use tablets, they said we will add it in the next time. I play it once again. Please make sure you selected the right answer.
The feedback was very positive. The really encouraging thing was that participants all said they felt much more confident about using social media to keep in touch with their grandchildren, who prefer
social media to keep in touch with their grandchildren, that is communicating with family. For communicating, keep in touch, and for family, grandchildren.
This form of communication to phoning or sending emails. A lot of them also said playing online games would help them make new friends and keep their brains active.
Okay, online games and all that.
They weren't that impressed with being able to order their groceries online, as they liked
they weren't that impressed. Negative. They weren't that impressed for grocery online, so that is C.
Going out to the shops, but some said it would come in handy if they were ill or the weather was really bad. One thing they asked about was using tablets for things like reading newspapers. Some people had been given tablets as presents, but had never used them. So that's something we'll make sure we include this time.
Okay, they didn't comment anything about tablets like that. Okay.